Hey, everybody, welcome back live at Drew's House, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Hope everybody is doing well out there. Hope you had a nice Halloween in the books and all that. Time is flying at the moment. You got to settle that all down. I'm always trying to slow down because I think I move too fast sometimes. But anyway, that's life, I guess. Chris Webb in the house, Newburyport Brewing Company. How are you, my friend?
Hey,
welcome back.
Slow down. You move too fast.
There you go. There's some truth to that, right? If you don't soak it all in a little bit, you're going to miss it.
You do. And, my thing lately is what can I create in the moment? It's not just about being present, but also create and connect. And I have a former colleague that works at Darden School of Business in University of Virginia. Yeah. And I was talking to her, she's a professor the other day, and she said, I have been teaching ABC. I said, okay, the ABCs. I think I know that. Yeah. So arrive, breathe, connect.
Nice.
Yeah.
I imagine there's no cell phones involved in that equation.
No, this is about being present. No cell phones. Yeah. No doom scrolling.
Understood. Yeah, man, it's funny. I saw a picture of, you've probably seen this a million times. You're a concert guy, but I saw a footage of a concert in Boston the other night. It's a young person show. And literally, nobody didn't have their phone up filming. It was bizarre. And I mean, I've been guilty of that before. Everybody's taken a video at a concert before, but it was jarring. Everybody had a phone. And I was like, I don't like that.
No. My wife was in a fashion show through the Amesbury Chamber of Commerce anyway, and so she was kind of walking down, and I was videoing it, and I realized, because capture it, I realized I missed it. Yeah. Even if I'm looking at the camera through the video, you're missing it. Right? Yeah. Kind of, there's something that's in the way of the moment there. So. Yeah.
And when it comes to concert videos, they're usually not that good anyway, right? You throw them away.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's too loud. It's not far enough away.
Somebody's singing, maybe you, that doesn't sounds off key. I don't know. But it was interesting. But all right. Well, anyway, things are busy with you. Speaking of creating things, you've created pickleball a year and a half ago now? Longer?
Less than that.
Less than that. Okay. Yeah. I have no concept of the time.
Right. So we have 8,300 square feet in the brewery, and a few years ago we moved the production over to Ipswich. We had a partnership with them, and since I've moved to Dorchester. So we basically decided we didn't want to run small-time manufacturing, sleep in the brewery. We were brewing 4 days a week, 24 hours a day. In the summer was too much. Yep. So we outsourced it, and then it just kind of sat as a warehouse for a bit, and we were trying to figure out what to do, and then we built out 2 pickleball courts, which has been crazy.
I don't even have to ask how you're doing with them because I already know. I've seen it. I've heard people talk about it. It's it seems like anything pickleball is like fire right now. It's
Have you ever played?
Yeah, no, it's a touchy subject on this show because I have nothing against pickleball, but people think I do because I'm a tennis player. And I teach tennis, and it's hard to, if I'm taking the time to go do that, it's usually tennis. So that's the only reason why I haven't done pickleball. I have nothing against it.
Well, come over. We'll have a beer in one hand, and we'll play pickleball with beer. It's like playing ping pong, but you're standing on the table.
Yes. Okay.
And then we also built out a really big rec room. We've got a bocce court. We've got stand-up shuffleboard. We've got the hoop game. We've got a huge 60-foot projection TV, so you can watch the Celtics, the Pats, the World Series. You can rent that room. So we really repurposed 6,500 square feet of fun space.
So you're a year into it. Have you been everything exactly how you envisioned it? You happy with it all? You got to make some changes, or what do you think?
I'm happy with it all. It's never how you envision it.
2 different questions, my friend.
Yeah. But no, there's nothing to change. Actually, it's funny. So we're doing these kind of contracts where because people want the time. It's very sought after. Yeah. So we give them a little bit of a discount if they sign up for 12 weeks. So, Thursdays from 5 to 7, 2 hours for 12 weeks is a little bit less than it would be. Sure. And you're guaranteed the space. So one of my customers was like, this is so great what you've done with pickleball and the rec room and music and your vibe. We need more. Is there any way we could expand? And I said, well, if we bought the building. Yeah. And I was hoping she was going to respond back and say, well, let me help you buy the building. We'll put 3 more pickleball courts and another stage for music, and we'll put some pizza in there, and we'll just jam it out.
Yeah. Because what is in that, for people who haven't been there, it's not like downtown Newburyport. It's more off and kind of towards the marshy area. Yeah. What other businesses are there?
As I like to describe it, it's a dive brewery at the end of a dead-end street in the industrial park. Yeah. It's exactly the way the brewery should be.
Which always has great bands.
Yeah, we have great bands. And actually, we did the Oldies Beer Garden, so we had a space on the water, which is always nice when you're in Newburyport. Yep. The building is about 12,500 square feet. We've got 8,300. The owner's in the middle, Meadows Construction, so it's construction business. Okay. And then, this is actually kind of funny, the end is a dance studio. and my daughter takes dance there. And so the dance moms have been coming over during dance to not only play pickleball, but also to have an adult beverage or two. So it's a nice place to kind of chill, because you got to wait for 2 hours for your kid to get through dance. So what are you going to do?
It's at 2 hours usually, huh?
Well, 1.5 to 2, but the class that my daughter's in, and it was funny, she said, I needed to do pickleball for an hour and then have a beer or hard seltzer, because otherwise we were drinking for 2 hours.
Sure.
And that's too much. But like, play a little pickleball, you don't get too sweaty, you can play in jeans in theory or leisure clothes, have a nice drink, and then go pick up your kid.
Okay. Well, there you go. So you've made it a go-to spot for the moms with kids who dance. Very good. That's I can see.
I always like to say, when I started the business, Billy and I started the business, I said, we're in the business of making people happy.
Yeah.
Right? So what makes people happy? Well, beer and swag and music and festivals and, what else can we do? So this is an extension of that.
Yeah.
And that feels really good to the community and for me personally to be able to say, this is a fun place to come have a good time.
You guys always, you're right with the festivals too. You always have like something funky, something cool going on. Like I remember even just playing off current events. I think like somebody, I don't know if it was, who was it? I remember like right after somebody died, you were right on it during COVID, and like you had a tribute night, and like a bunch of artists from around here.
Oh, John Prine.
John Prine, thank you. Yeah, it was exactly that.
Yeah.
He was just great, one of my favorites too. And I didn't even get to the event, but I remember kicking myself because I couldn't. I was out of town or something. But I was like, what a great idea! Like he's right on it. People are thinking about John Prine right now, and a bunch of local musicians came together and played songs. They just wanted to come and do it. I'm imagining they volunteered their time, and because they just wanted to show what their John Prine meant to them. And I was like, that's a cool thing. Like just taking advantage of the moment. And
it's an annual thing. So if you want to come and
now you made it an annual thing?
Yeah, if you want to come sing a John Prine tune, it's open to anyone and everyone that wants to come. So if you want to learn, the one that I played during COVID on my front porch was Illegal Smile.
Yeah.
And the guy that organizes that keeps saying, when are you going to come play that song? And I'm like, I'll get there. But, same thing. I show up, it's for a quick hello and a couple tunes, and then I'm off with the kids, teaching soccer or whatever. So I felt like I haven't had the time to kind of like perform. Sometimes
that B part, the breathe part in there, right?
Well, exactly. I have my 7-piece funk band, Dos Pintos, which you know about, and people are always like, why aren't you always playing at your brewery? And I said, well, if I show up at our birthday party or a funk and jam fest and I'm playing, I am performing. I'm not relaxing. I'm not having a good time, right? There's that, okay, this is my show and I need to be on, versus like, I'm just here with like everybody else having a couple beers and a slice of pizza and having a good time.
Yeah. No kidding. It's crazy. The one for me was always, it was probably the first one I learned of his too, was Hello in There. And I remember I heard John Prine in an interview talk about that song, and I had heard the song. My parents used to listen to it. Never thought about the lyrics. Hello in there. Who's this guy singing about? I have no idea. And I heard him talk about it one day and how it's about getting older and older people. And he, as a 20-something-year-old, wrote that song. But he's like, I always had this fascination, John Prine, with older folks, and I was just like, you look at them and you're like, they must know so much more than me. They must have seen so much more. I wonder what that story is. And he goes, I was always tempted, and I would talk with them, and I found that older folks would talk for long periods of time with me, and then I wrote that song out of all those conversations. And I was like, that's a ahead of his time, fascinating story. And I always loved the song too. But
yeah, I'm not sure if I know that song. But one of the things, one of my thoughts about getting older, and I'm getting older, as we all are. I was always the youngest, so the youngest of 4 boys. I was the youngest in my company and the 2 companies I worked for. And now I'm like the old guy, and that's fine. But you have to kind of like get used to that, right? It's a psychological thing. But one of the things I like to say is, you're every age you've ever been.
Yep.
So in your 50s, you understand what it's like to be in your 40s. You understand what it's like to be in your 30s and your 20s and teens and a young person. So you do have perspective, but it doesn't end up feeling, you never feel, or I never feel old. Yeah. Right? So it's like, I am older, but I feel like all of those other ages. So you can choose to be, what I want to choose to be. 38 feels pretty good.
All right, there you go. Yeah, I'm about to be that myself. So there you go.
Okay, so there you go.
I saw the Springsteen documentary the other night. He's 75, and wow. It's playing those stadiums, man. He actually talks a lot about getting older too, which is, he's having a lot of those reflective moments. But at 75 and still rocking, gives a lot of hope to everybody out there. My God, he still looks amazing. Good. Yeah. All right, so let's do the. This is more of a summertime thing here, because I noticed that this birdie here how's the birdie golf beer going for you. There you go.
This is
I
great.
love the design of this.
Yeah.
It's a clean design of a beer, which I like.
It's art forward. So all of our other beers are like, Greenhead, the big block letters, or Plum Island. So it's not art forward. This is art forward. So this is the penguin, which is a bird.
Yep.
And if you know, when you're going out to Plum Island, the out on Joppa Flats, there's the penguins that are floating.
Yep.
So we thought that'd be a really fun kind of way to do a birdie pilsner for a beer.
Yep.
And of course, it says a Parfect Pils.
Yep.
Even though it's a birdie. And I brought these out to Austin, Texas in the spring. We just launched it. So it's a seasonal that comes and goes. And I was out in Austin with some friends for my buddy's birthday.
Love Austin.
Yeah. And we're playing golf, and I've got the beers in the backpack, and it's the very first hole. I crush a drive, and I'm not a great golfer. And my second shot, I get up close. I'm like, oh my God, I'm putting birdie. And I made the putt, and I busted this out, and I have a selfie to prove it. We're all just like, it's birdie time. What time is it? It's birdie time.
Is that the rule when you make a birdie? You always have to pull one of these out?
Pull one of these birdies out.
That is funny.
It's a light, crisp.
Who made the design?
So it's our designer, John Magnifico.
Okay.
He's local in town. He was the guy that I met years ago through Mechanica, which Ted Nelson has as branding.
Yep.
I'll tell you that's kind of a fun story. So Billy and I were starting the business 2012, 2011, and we're going around and networking with everyone we know and raising money and talking to branding guys. So in my band, in Dos Pintos, the guitar player's like, I got to do Ted Nelson. He worked for big branding agencies. He's got a great agency in town called Mechanica.
Yeah.
So I go down and meet with Ted, or Bill and I meet with Ted. And Ted's like, yeah, we're actually meeting with Sam Adams right now, so I think it would be a conflict of interest to work with you. And I said, you mean you're more interested in working for a public company that has millions of dollars versus a startup that has no money? And he was like, he said, but what I will do is I'll introduce you to some of our contractors. And the art director was this guy, John Magnifico, grew up in Salisbury, went to Mass School of Art. He's awesome.
Yep.
And he met with us, and he was instantly, we were just like simpatico. And he's been our guy ever since.
Oh,
for
cool.
the website, for all the logos, for all the design, branding. And since then, he's just blossomed.
This is one of my favorite ones because I actually think less is more in a lot of cases. I was just had this conversation with my dad about the Boston Bruins uniforms the other night. I don't like the new uniform, like the uniforms they went back to this year that have like the kind of like this actually, like the stuff on the sleeve.
Yeah,
kind of like I liked it when it was just the black or just the white.
Yeah,
either one, and like just for I don't know, for whatever reason.
Yeah,
I'm not the say all in all of these things, but I'm a big fan of this logo.
Well, thanks. Yeah, art forward. You go to liquor stores and sometimes you just see like, you can't even figure out what that beer is that's in front of you, and it gets a little overwhelming. We're trying to be like really classic, and it's kind of old school. It's got a little bit of the Masters feel.
Sure.
With the colors.
Yep.
It's a fun,
but not too many colors. Some of those are supposed to be like psychedelic, I think.
Yeah.
That's again Chris Webb joining us here, Newburyport Brewing Company. His place has been cooking for a while here. You can now do the pickleball while you go get your beer, and of course the live music too, which has always been a thing with your place. We talked a little bit about this last time, but it was early on in the pickleball trial, and I know that some of the musicians were like, "We're going to see how it is playing the place with the pickleball," and like no complaints whatsoever, like noise-wise, and like they say the only thing that happens is that you end up getting more people because they're interested and they come over from pickleball and watch us play. That's the only difference, which is a good thing.
It's really a tale of two rooms, right? You walk into our tap room, and it is a dive tap room at the end of a dead-end street in an industrial park. Like, it's low ceilings. It was an office, basically, with a warehouse. And we painted the drop ceiling black, and we hired Tiles Gone Wild in Newburyport to put nice tile down. But it's a small little space. But now that we've got low-top tables and good lighting and the bars to the side, it feels very loungy. People come in, and they're sitting and they're listening, or maybe they're standing up with Dancing Phil and dancing. But it's very much like a room to hear music and have a beer. Yeah. And then you open the door, and all of a sudden it's like the old brewery that 60-foot ceilings and the echo, and there's a rec room, and then the pickleball. But if the door's closed and the music's going, you can hear a little bit of the music when you're in there with pickleball, but that's good for
That's good. Yeah, it is.
But no, it's a cross-pollination of athletes and music lovers, which is a natural connection.
Have you started playing the pickleball? I know you've dabbled with a beer in your hand, but
not a lot. No, I've played a few times. I haven't played a lot, just being the busy guy that I am. But I do like it. And I played tennis in high school, and I like to play ping pong. So if anyone that wants to play pickleball, hit me up. I'm available. It's just I'm so busy right now. I haven't found as much time as I.
You're co-owner owner there. You mentioned him earlier. His name
Bill Fisher.
Bill Fisher. Thanks. That's who took me on the tour last time, I think.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I actually want to go see how the pickleball courts look, and you haven't been there yet. Probably about a year ago, I did a video from the brewery, and I thought it was kind of cool. You get to walk through, and you can see how it all looks. It's a very cool spot. And again, Chris Webb joining us here, Newburyport Brewing Company. Nice of him to join us here on this election day in Newburyport. Now, how long have you had the place for?
So we brewed our first batch on April Fool's Day of 2013.
2013, okay. Wow.
No, that's not true. We brewed our first batch.
I've lied to you.
No, I am lying. We brewed our first batch on Valentine's Day.
Okay.
Just ironically, none of this is planned. It's just like, the grain and the hops came in. So we did our first brew on Valentine's Day of 2013, and we shipped our first batch out the door April Fool's Day 2013.
Okay.
So it's been 12 years.
That is a long, I don't know. I guess there's breweries, I'm sure, that have run for 30 years. I feel like that's a really damn good run, though, in that business. Like, did you know you'd have a decade under your belt as soon as you started? Like, I'm definitely in it for 10 years, or is it kind of a year by year, month by month?
Yeah. Well, I like to say I make beer, not money.
Yep, sure.
Because beer is really expensive to make, and you've got distributors that want 30% and retailers that want 30%. So it is hard. It's a scale business. You got to have enough volume to make it work. And really, the margin.
Pandemic in the middle.
I know, throw a pandemic. Yeah. The margin's really in the tap room, which is why we put the pickleball in the rec room. You can rent and all that, because that's where you make the margin. But we were ahead of the curve of the second wave of craft beer. So the first wave was like late 80s, early mid 90s with Sam Adams and Harpoon, and like that was a thing.
Yep.
Ipswich, and the Cape Ann Brewing, and then a bunch started and they kind of fizzled and failed. A couple hung around, Dogfish Head.
Sure.
And so we were kind of the 2011, 2012, that re-emergence. And I hope to pass it to my kids in theory, right? Like, I think it's iconic. It's Newburyport. We've got Greenhead IPA, the beer that bites you back, the Plum Island Belgian White. Like, these are beers that I hope people are enjoying long after I'm in the ground.
Yeah.
But it's a dog fight, and you just keep plugging away, and you keep innovating and reinventing yourself like anybody.
Yeah, I bet. There probably is a level of grind to it, just because any business is, right? But it's people like you live for that, right? That's when it pays off in the end. When the pickleball thing works, it's like that's what you do it for.
Yeah,
I would think anyway. And it is such a different place. It's probably. Do you even recognize it from like I guess that room has probably stayed the same, the music room.
Yeah,
but it's changed a lot, right? You got did you always have the outside?
The question is, do I recognize myself? 12 years later. Like, what the hell was I thinking?
Well, I remember what you were thinking, because you told me before on this show that, I forget how you phrased it, but you said something along the lines of like, you want to get $1 million. Seems kind of tough, right? It's really not that tough if you break it down. You gave me a whole good explanation on that. Yeah. And people can go back and look. But, it's about putting the right people together. And, now you have this thing. And now how do you make it blossom? And that's obviously what you've been trying
you just
to do.
need 33 people to give you $33,333.33.
That was it.
Yeah. So $1 million, I'll never get that. But can I find 30 or so people that are willing to invest, $25,000 to $35,000? And the answer was yes.
Yeah. It must be too rewarding. I know you're a music guy. You got your band. Like, it must be rewarding too to have all these bands, all these local artists come in and be like, we'd love to play your room, or we'd want to make sure that's a staple of our thing. Like that's what it's all about, really, for you originally, anyway. That music room is kind of iconic. Like that, you've built the pickleball in the back, but that music room I've always loved it. There's no TVs. You're not distracted by it. You go there to see a musician. You can have a beer, but you're going to enjoy the music,
100%. And I think we won Best Music Venue, with the Daily News.
Nice.
And the fact that I have a 7-piece funk band and I can play there. We used to play at the Grog, and that was the ultimate. The downstairs throwdown, hometown throwdown at the Grog.
Yeah.
And I remember when we first launched. So I moved to Newburyport in 2004. I started my funk band, Dos Pintos, with a bunch of regular local dudes in like 2007, 2008. I started the brewery in 2012. So it was kind of a 4-year period where we were playing the Grog every quarter. We would pack the place because it was, all of our friends and our friends' friends and all the soccer moms and the dudes in town. And we were just having a blast.
That lovely basement.
Which I miss desperately.
I mean that in the best possible way, yes.
Oh, my God. Yeah. And so Bill Nickelman, who ran the grog, and Nicole's dad started the grog, and so Bill was kind of the GM, and rest in peace, God bless his soul. After we started the brewery, we came out. We were 5,000 barrels the first year. We were one of the fastest growing breweries in the history of beer since Prohibition. Like, we were on fire. We got on Delta Airlines. Like, it was ready. The world was ready for a Newburyport all natural craft beer in a can.
Yeah,
we were crushing it. And we had the 3 beers: Greenhead, the Plum Island, and the Pale Ale,
which I imagine are still your most popular.
Greenhead. Yes, absolutely. So I remember seeing Bill, and him saying to me, Chris. And this is when I knew I'd arrived in what I wanted in Newburyport. He said, you have the #1 selling beer at the Grog, and you guys are the #1 selling band at the Grog. We were bringing in the most money for a show. And I was like, I've arrived. Like, what else is there in Newburyport, right? It's the Grog. You're playing the music and you're drinking the beer. Like, this is why we live in this beautiful coastal town, right? Yeah.
Well, now it's kind of you, though, because if you think about it, like, you're talking about a 10-year run of music there. Like, the Grog is not doing music anymore, right?
I know.
So you think about the Newburyport staples. I'm always pushing for more music in Newburyport. I think there's some great restaurants and stuff. But, I mean, you're one of the few places here that is always reliable in Newburyport. You want to see a good night of music, that you can go to that place in Newburyport. You don't even need to really know who's playing, because you get a good, like, it's a good sign of a place is when you can trust the place, right? Like, it's like you might go there, let's see who's there, and you're not going to be let down. It might not be your thing all the time, but it's going to be somebody who knows what the hell they're doing.
And there's, exactly. Like, the Grog was that way too. Like, pretty much on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, you go down there and you're pretty much guaranteed to see a decent band. And I wish that we had more music, even if it did compete with us, because our room is small. We're in the industrial park. Like, to have something downtown, where we could really do, like, what are we doing after dinner? Where are you taking your lady after you have dinner? Let's go to the Grog. Let's go to the.
It's her birthday. It's interesting. I actually thought you were actually quizzing me on that, because I haven't actually thought of the actual place yet. But
when does this all happen?
After this, we're gonna go grab dinner
in town.
I don't know. Probably she's from Beverly, so maybe somewhere more
local,
more Beverly area.
Yeah, that's fair.
We'll see.
That's fair.
But she stole my birdie shirt. You gave me a birdie shirt last time you were on, because the beer was coming out. And you were nice enough to give me a shirt that looks, just like the logo there. And I loved it, but the shirts were so damn comfortable that I lost it to my girlfriend.
This is how you know you're in a good relationship. Okay. When your lady takes your shirt that's oversized and she wears it to bed, that's love. That's one of the indicators of love. Okay. So next time I come and see you, I will bring you a new shirt for you.
I did like the shirt. I was telling her, I was like, hey, when did that become yours? I meant to take a picture for you. I think what actually happened, I didn't tell you that part. I think what actually happened was I went to take a picture, and it was like morning. And, whoa! What are you doing?
Yeah. Let me get this.
Do myself up a little bit here. Yeah. I think that may be true, but if I got in trouble, I deny it. Chris Webb joining us, Newburyport Brewing Company. Final minute or two with him here. It is election day. It's kind of the thing. I usually don't do too much politics here because it's such a crazy world. Yeah. And everybody has an opinion, and there kind of is no. It's just it's crazy out there. Well, let me ask you the question in this way, because I don't like to set too many people up on the political rants, but I'll put it to you this way. Are you concerned with the country? I'm 37. It's a more divisive country right now than I can ever remember in my years. And I think we just had a bunch of high school kids in here earlier, and I imagine that they're kind of coming up with a different idea of politics than I had growing up, because it's so divisive. It's kind of scary.
Totally. And it's especially for the Gen Z, the young people. It's disappointing for me to see what's going on in that climate. I'll say a couple of things. One is, please vote if you're listening to this. That is your right. That is our freedom. Please vote.
You got time. You got all the options. No excuses. Early voting, all that stuff, right?
You got to vote. I think it's exciting that there is potentially a woman that would be president. Mm-hmm. I think, as the Grateful Dead said, the women are smarter. Rest in peace, Phil Lesh.
Oh, I know.
Let's get a woman, a minority woman as president would be amazing, in my opinion. I'm gonna go on record as saying, where my vote's going. Sure. I just think women are, just a little more balanced, and I think it's a great opportunity, evolution, to see. And I have 3 daughters, for them to look up and say, "Wow, I could be president someday," right? So that's super exciting. As far as the divisiveness goes, I really like what Tim Walz said, the governor, Minnesota, running for VP. Yep. He said, "Just because we disagree politically, we're still neighbors, right? Love your neighbor, right?" Yeah. I have friends that are typically voting Republican. They're probably going to vote for the man that will not be named. And that doesn't mean that they're not still my friend. That doesn't mean that they're not my neighbor. That doesn't mean that we have to have divisiveness. So if we take all the words that are being thrown out there by some of the extreme people and the extreme politicians and just say, I reject those words and I love my neighbor and people have a right to choose, then hopefully we can teach the young people that's truly the way to be in America and the world.
Yeah. I'm sure you've heard no shortage of political conversation at the bar.
Oh yeah, I know. We've got some hardcore Fox News watching people, and I've gotten into some big arguments with them, and our bartenders have. I even thought about putting up a sign like "No politics," in the bar. But again, these are regulars that come in a lot, and you just say, "Look, I love you, man. You have a right to your opinion, and I can disagree, but that doesn't mean I don't like you.
Yeah.
I can still respect you. We can still have a beer at the end of the day and talk about it.
Yeah, with all that divisiveness that we don't like, it is, I do think anybody is capable of sharing ideas, and, as long as you're not, it's those people that are, that can't even hear the other side.
Right.
It's like what world are you living in? Right. It's that's what kind of drives me crazy. But
anyway. Be open to all ideas, right? Be open to all. One of my friends came from Austin, Texas to visit, and he was like, I can't believe people are voting for this man that will not be named. I said, do you ever watch Fox News?
Yeah.
It's the number one news network in America, and occasionally I'll put it on just to see what they're saying. And the propaganda is real, and it's strong. And you watch that, and if that's all you're watching and you have no other perspective and no other people around you pushing you, of course you're going to do that because it just seems so obvious. And if you just have a bigger perspective and global perspective and talk to people that have different opinions and watch or read different news sources, then you can come up with an educated decision on your own. I think the danger is when you're just kind of focused on one thing and the propaganda comes and hits you in the face, then,
I've tried to do it too. I try to I like to say people don't know who I'm voting for because I try to keep that as a news thing. People that know me do, but it's like people are even just normal conversations. I've had them within my own family of just you say something and they didn't even take the time to really comprehend it. They take a breath and just think about what that person said rather than jumping with your point or whatever it is that you think that.
Well, here I'll leave you with this.
Uh-oh.
I'll leave you with this piece of philosophy.
I feel like this is the end of 60 Minutes or something. Andy Rooney.
And this is the rest of the story. No, most of us aren't really listening. Yeah. We're thinking about what we want to say in response, and that's the human condition, right? I'll ask you a question. Or I'll say something and you'll spit out something and I immediately want to jump in because we're such egocentric beings, right? It's my world and you're just living in it. Sure. But there's 8 billion people that feel that way, right? So one of the things that I try to teach and my kids and anyone that will listen to me babble on is instead of ask, listen, tell, right? Ask your question, maybe I'm listening, but I really just want to talk about whatever it is. Try ask, listen, ask. Yeah. Right? Try to peel that onion, ask why 5 times, like kind of dig into the root cause for what their beliefs are. And then there's this thing called level 2 listening, which is listening for what you hear are their strengths and values and maybe their emotions, right? So instead of telling or talking about yourself, reflect back. Geez, what I heard you say was, did I get it right? It seems like, right? So if we have a level 2 listening hat on instead of a I want to talk about myself hat on, we tend to build more understanding. And if we build more understanding, we get more collaboration, we get more love, and hopefully we'll move past the political jargon, divisiveness that's going on. It's up to us, right? So I'm going to teach my kids, you're going to teach your kids. We got to, keep spreading the good word around, love your neighbor. And I'm not a religious person, but I think that's a great premise for how to kind of deal with the situation we have right now.
We ended the show with Ask, Listen, Ask. We began with the ABCs. Right. We've come full circle here. Very good, Chris Webb.
All the simple stuff. Life is simple.
Life is simple. There you go.
Keep it simple, stupid.
No doubt about it. Chris Webb, Newburyport Brewing Company. Always a pleasure to have you in, my man.
Thanks, Drew.
Anytime, doors always open. Thanks for your the birdie gifts as always. I'm going to try to get my shirt back from my girlfriend too. No. It's a sign of love that she took it and let her have that. The thing was damn comfortable, Chris.
I'll get you another one.
All right.
I got $1 million at the brewery. Come by the brewery and I'll just hand you one.
They got merch over there.
And you can keep the beer. More importantly, have a nice cold Pilsner.
You always bring a cold one too. I always appreciate that.
Because I figure maybe we can drink, but it says, please, no food bitter beverage in here. But I'm like, all right, well, I got beer. I guess I won't crack it. But a quick tip, pour the beer in a glass.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because beer wants to breathe. The oxygen helps the beer breathe. It releases all the good aroma and the good flavor, and it just gives it a chance. So I always say pour it in a glass. The other thing is, especially when you come to the brewery, our bartenders try, like, they'll pour out the foam. I'm like, leave a little head on there, because foam is like 17% beer, so some of that will turn into beer. And you want that foam because it's mouthfeel. It's aroma. Feels good on your lips. It's soft, and then it's like you have that milk foamy beer mustache. So, like, when I get a beer, and I'll say, give me a little head on there, because it makes the beer better, in my opinion. So,
it does. All right. I actually agree with that.
what do I know?
Yeah,
I just know.
A damn good one over there. Go play your pickleball now, listen to some music, and have a beer at the Newburyport Brewery, Newburyport Brewing Company. It is a great spot. Chris Webb, enjoyed it as always. Happy Election Day. Happy late fall, almost winter. We'll get you in here sometime at the end of the winter time and warm up with some of these things and do all that fun stuff. All right.
Sounds good, Drew.
Always
Go
a
vote.
pleasure. Absolutely. Live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive, May Power. Thank you. We appreciate you as always. See you later, everybody. Peace.